It is 1700s Beijing, and your family lives one bad harvest away from starvation. With 4 sons and no land to leave them, your father views your 9-year-old body as the only asset capable of keeping the rest of the family alive. Just miles away sits the Forbidden City, an elite, sealed-off world housing the emperor, his wives, and thousands of secluded women. Because of this, the only males permitted to step inside the inner palace are those who have been castrated. Within these walls, the very men stripped of their ability to have families often become the architects of the empire's most powerful dynasties, wielding more authority than the emperor's own generals. To enter this world, your father takes you to a back-alley knifesmith in the outer city. The man has no formal medical training. He requires no coin for the surgery. Instead, he takes the organs he removes as payment, selling them to buyers who believe they hold medicinal properties. For the poorest families in Beijing, this mutilation was the price of a future. A child's body was traded to ensure his survival. The procedure is called Jingshen, to purify the body. It takes less than 3 minutes. With your legs tightly bound and a single cup of mild sedative that barely numbs the skin, the knifesmith removes everything in one motion. After the wound is plugged with a hollow tube and bandaged, you wait. For 3 days, you are denied even a drop of water. This forced thirst is intentional. It keeps the body's fluids low to help the wound seal. This was a lethal gamble. Roughly 1 in 3 boys did not survive the first week. If urine didn't flow freely when the tube was removed on the 4th day, infection had already claimed the body. Survivors faced a life of physical transformation. Without hormones, voices stayed soft and high. Bones grew unusually long, but remained brittle. Fat redistributed, creating wider hips and a face that would never grow a beard. Psychological conditioning followed at a training house on the city's edge. Older eunuchs drilled you in hundreds of protocols: how to kneel in a single fluid motion, how to walk without sound, and how to speak only when spoken to. The knifesmith took the organs, but the training house took the identity. The system was designed to rebuild you as a perfectly invisible, compliant tool for the imperial court. At age 12, you enter the Forbidden City for the first time. 9,999 rooms of red walls and golden tiles. It is a city within a city, with courtyards so vast they seem to create their own weather, completely cut off from the million people living outside the gates. You start at the very bottom, cleaning chamber pots and sweeping courtyards before dawn. You sleep on a thin mat on a shared wooden board, earning a salary that barely covers your basic needs. You are now part of a hidden hierarchy. At the base of this pyramid are thousands of laborers like you, men seen only as extensions of the palace furniture. Above them is a middle tier of senior eunuchs. These men have survived decades to manage specific palace departments, from the imperial kitchens to the treasury, holding absolute authority over their subordinates. At the tiny apex sit the chief eunuchs. They control daily access to the emperor and pass along the messages that determine the careers of the empire's most powerful ministers. In this closed ecosystem, proximity is power. A servant who has the emperor's ear wields more influence than a freeborn general standing outside the palace walls. The path to the top begins with a specific assignment, serving as the personal manager for an imperial consort. These women live in near total isolation, rarely permitted to leave their own courtyards. Because she is confined, the consort relies entirely on her eunuch to handle her errands and her connection to the court. You become the one person who knows her daily routine, her moods, and her secrets. This proximity gives you access to a resource more fungible than gold. In the Forbidden City, the true currency is not your salary, but information. You know exactly who is rising in the emperor's favor and who is falling. You see which ministers are sending gifts to rival households. By trading these observations to outside politicians or rival consorts, eunuchs build massive private fortunes. These ascents were built on silence and observation. Power wasn't granted through a formal promotion. It was gathered through the patient hoarding of secrets, traded at exactly the right moment. The higher you climb, the more dangerous your life becomes. Every alliance is temporary. One whispered rumor of disloyalty is enough to trigger an interrogation, a beating, or an execution ordered by the emperor on a whim. You live in constant fear, haunted by the memory of the life you were denied. You have no family name to protect you, and no children to inherit the wealth you've spent a lifetime accumulating. History shows the extreme reach of this system. In the 1600s, a former destitute boy named Wei Zongshen rose through the ranks to effectively run the entire Ming Dynasty government. While the emperor focused on carpentry, Wei controlled taxation and foreign policy. He built temples to himself while still alive and held the power of life and death over every minister in China. But his downfall was as sudden as his rise. When the political winds shifted, he was stripped of his titles and forced to commit suicide. Wei's collapse underscores the reality for every eunuch. Without a blood clan to rally to your side, your power lasts only as long as your proximity to the throne. For those who survive to old age, the palace offers no pension. When your usefulness fades, you are demoted and often exiled to temples outside the city walls, belonging to neither the palace world nor the one outside. There is a deeper fear in this exile. Without a son to maintain your grave and make offerings, you believe your spirit will wander hungry and forgotten forever. This leads to a heartbreaking final transaction. An old eunuch will trade his lifetime of contacts and secrets to a younger recruit. The price? Simply a promise to maintain his grave after he is gone. This system ended abruptly in 1912. When the Qing dynasty fell, the thousands of eunuchs living inside the walls were instantly rendered obsolete, cast out into a modern world that viewed them only as relics of a vanished era. Sun Yaoting, the last imperial eunuch, lived until 1996. When asked if he regretted the path his father chose for him, he waited a long time before answering. Knowing the physical cost, the constant fear, and the final isolation, if you were 9 years old and starving, would you have walked through that door?